Ah, there you are. Did you bring the wine? Wonderful. Pour some for me, please. I need to focus on these documents. Thank you. I don't think this is the one I asked you to bring me. No need. This is all right, but do try to learn the difference in the future. This proposal is ridiculous. I'm honestly not sure if I'm supposed to take this as an insult. Oh, I'm just going over a proposal from a trade agreement. A neighboring lord called Lord Moston wants some of the textiles we produce. But I couldn't possibly take this offer. It doesn't even cover the cost of materials, let alone the labor. He probably thinks that I don't actually know what I'm doing. They always assume that, and I can't understand why. Being a Lamia noble in a human kingdom means I didn't inherit my position or otherwise receive outside help. To get the kind of recognition from the king that I did, I needed to really stand out. But, like half the nobility here, somehow he thinks that I just lucked into it. Personally, I chalk it up to vanity. They all think that they're the ideal noble, and if someone is different, then they must mean they aren't cut out for it. Not that I mind. This is a cutthroat business. Being underestimated works heavily in my favor. Now what to do with him? We'll see how his offer changes once I undercut him. His main export is leather goods, and he gets the hides from it from Lady Fane, who specializes in livestock. But I have the facilities to produce leather as well, and I'm in a position to pay much more for those hides from him. Once his production is screeched to a halt, he'll come crawling to me, begging to back off, and I'll do it, for much more than he's offered here. I'm sure it sounds a bit cruel to your ears, but he would do the same to me, and worse, in the end. It's his fault for trying to cheat me. But anyway, that can wait for later. I think it's time we had a talk. Oh no, you're not in any sort of trouble. I just want to check in and see how things are going. How are you feeling? Are you feeling at all overworked or burnt out? Do you feel that your pay is fair? Good. But I don't want to mislead you thinking that I am an overly generous person. I ask largely because it causes me problems when my servants feel mistreated. My own production relies on you all taking care of things that I don't have time for. Disgruntled employees are slow, sloppy, and occasionally malicious. It benefits both of us to have you taken care of. Oh, not quite. I won't just give any servant whatever they ask for. I can be a bit flexible if convinced it's warranted, but servants who expect more than I'm willing to give are usually replaced. But that doesn't seem to apply to you. You've been a good servant to me thus far. I'd say you put in a good effort, and are quite competent. You do make mistakes, of course, but you're good at correcting them and learning them not to make them twice. That's the important part. As long as you know how to improve yourself, it doesn't matter what your skill level is when you start out. It reminds me of my early days, back when I was part of that trading caravan. I was poor and homeless at the time. They didn't hire me because of any particular skill set. They just needed a Lamia in the caravan in order to trade in the Slaik Desert. Yes, a bit of an unusual law. The Slaik Desert is Lamia territory. The Lamias of the desert are very distrusting of outsiders, and require that any group entering the desert have a Lamia with them, ostensibly to prove that they aren't hostile to our kind. Really just to keep outsiders away without saying as much, since it's rare to find Lamias outside their territory, and you can't go in to recruit one. But I was in the process of leaving my homeland to find employment, and they had set up camp right at the border, hoping to meet a Lamia such as myself. They didn't offer much, but all I had to do was be there, and I knew there wasn't much else I was qualified for, so I accepted. But I watched and listened carefully, learning how they negotiated, how they spoke to customers, and how they planned their routes. One day I offered to help, and I began to prove my worth. It wasn't long before I owned the whole operation. Oh, but listen to myself prattle on. boasting about myself. I actually wanted to ask you a bit about your background. I know the basic facts from the research I conducted prior to hiring you, but I don't know your own view of it. Well, I am happy to hear that. I do my best to ensure that the peasants who live on my land are taken care of. Much like with my servants. I rely on them, so we all have benefit when they feel comfortable. Ah, that's right. It is quite a large family, as I recall. A bit hard for you to feel like you stood out then. Is that why you applied to work for me? Not a bad idea. Rising above a farmer's life, being able to send money back to take care of your parents and siblings? I'm certain that makes you special in your family's eyes. It's a good plan, and it shows that you have initiative. It's a good sign. And there's a reason I asked, of course. I've been invited to a very important conference. Royalty and nobility from all over the continent will be there in order to learn from each other, sharing styles of leadership, innovations in technology, anything new and useful. It's a rare thing for so many leaders to be willing to share so openly. It'll be far away, in a different country. The long journey necessitates traveling light, and so I only plan to bring one servant with me. And I want it to be you. It might seem like a strange decision at first. You haven't served me, or anyone for that matter, for a very long time. I have many servants with far more experience for such an important expedition. But I see some very interesting traits in you. You learn quickly and easily, incorporate new ideas into practice. Of all my servants, I think you would benefit the most from expanding your horizons through travel. It will also be a test of whether or not you are reliable enough for more important duties. It is a choice, of course. You can decide for yourself whether you are willing. What do you say? Fair enough. It's prudent to take time to think such things over. I don't require an answer for a few days. In the meantime, I'll tell you a bit more about what will be expected of you if you accept. It will take about 2 weeks to travel to reach our destination by carriage. You will be in charge of handling my luggage during stops, purchasing necessities, and anything else I ask of you. Once we arrive, you will be my attendant. You will run errands, deliver messages, and answer the door to my room. None of this should be unfamiliar to you, but keep in mind that you will be interacting with the most important people from many different places, so it's important you maintain a professional and competent demeanor. People watch you to judge my character more than myself. But I'm confident in you. You're respectful, charming, and vigilant. If you accept, I believe you will serve me well. But, for now, you may be dismissed. Tomorrow morning, I'll have you help the kitchen staff with serving breakfast. I'll talk to you then. Good night, servant.